Hello everyone, it's me David Morgan with the Craig and Dave channel. You know, they say the best things in life are free, but let's be honest, if you're getting something for free online, it's probably you that's the product. Yep, I'm looking at you, scrolling through endless memes, binge watching catch videos and clicking I accept on cookie pop-ups without a second thought. Hold on, that's me too. But here's the catch. What if you suddenly had to pay for the privilege of keeping your privacy online? No more just ignoring that pesky cookie banner. Now it's either fork over some cash or let the internet track your every move. It's called consent or pay, and it's becoming the new norm on the web. But is this really a fair trade? And what does this mean for those of you who don't have a way to pay online? Let's dig in. First off, let's talk about why this consent or pay model is popping up everywhere. And it's not because the internet suddenly got stingy like my Nan. Nan! You need to spend more than 50p on your groceries! I've got you 3 Sprouts for the week! Remember when websites were plastered with ads that followed you around like a creepy stalker? Do you remember? Brian, do you remember? This is why you have a restraining order, Brian. Well, thanks to privacy laws like GDPR, those days are fading. Now sites have to ask you for your permission to track you, and surprise, surprise, a lot of people are saying no thank you. So what's a website to do when they can't make money off your data? Enter consent or pay. Big names like Mail Online, The Times and The Sun have started telling users, hey listen, you can either let us track you and hit you with ads, or you can pay up and enjoy ad-free browsing. Sounds like a fair choice, right? Well, not so fast. Here's where it gets tricky. Just because you're given a choice doesn't mean it's a fair one. Imagine you're a young person, well, you probably are, and maybe you don't have a credit card or PayPal, but what do you do? Well, you're basically being forced to give up your privacy just because you don't have a way to pay. Now that's not cool. The UK's Information Commissioner's Office, or the ICO, for those of us who love acronyms, has even stepped in to say, hey, hold on a minute, is this really fair? And they've launched an investigation into whether this whole consent or pay thing is even legal. They're saying that for this model to work, consent has to be freely given, freely informed and easy to withdraw. That means you should be able to say no without feeling like you're missing out on half of the internet. Now let's be real, businesses have to make money. I mean, I've got to keep the lights on too. But there's a line between making a profit and exploiting your users. Websites are in a tough spot. They're seeing their ad revenue dry up, especially with all these new privacy rules. So they're turning to consent or pay to make up the difference. But here's the thing, when you're putting users in a position where they have to choose between their money or their privacy, it's not exactly a win-win. Let's look at Meta. Yes, the artist formerly known as Facebook. They've been testing this pay or consent model on platforms like Instagram and Facebook over in the EU. They're basically saying, look, we'll still track your behavior to give you recommendations, but if you don't want ads tailored to you, then you've got to pay up. Now, this is where things start to get a bit juicy. The European Commission is looking into whether this model is legal under EU law. And if they decide it's not, Meta could be in hot water. But let's bring it back to you. What does this mean for young people, especially those of you who don't have access to a credit card? If you can't pay, your only option might be to hand over your data, and that's not really a choice. This could lead to a situation where only people who can afford to pay get to keep their data private, whilst everyone else is left exposed. It's like having a 2-tier internet, and that's a pretty worrying thought. It's not just news websites that are jumping on this bandwagon either. Think about streaming service. If Netflix or Disney Plus suddenly said, hey, we're going to track you unless you pay us extra, what would you do? I mean, luckily, Craig and Dave Plus is not going to go down that route. No, we're going to offer you the 100 million hours of Mr. Morgan content and all the bald people that we can offer you. No tracking at all. Now, unlike news sites, you can't just go to another platform if they have exclusive content. This kind of model could hit industries like streaming even harder, and it might be a lot tougher to justify. So where does this leave us? Is consent or pay the future of the internet? Well, that's what the ICO and other regulators are trying to figure out, but here's the bottom line. While this model might be a quick fix for websites struggling to make money, it's raising some serious questions about fairness and privacy. Are we really okay with paying for the right to keep our personal lives to ourselves? Or are we setting a dangerous precedent that could turn the internet into a place where privacy is only for those who can afford it? To summarize this week, the consent or pay model forces users to either allow websites to track their data or pay to avoid it, raising concerns about fairness and privacy. This model disproportionately affects young people who may not have access to online payment systems, effectively limiting their choices. The UK's ICO is investigating whether these consent or pay ideas are legal and if consent is truly voluntary under this system. The debate centers on whether it's ethical to monetize privacy, potentially leading to a two-tier internet where only those who can afford it can maintain their privacy. So, what do you think? Would you rather pay to keep your privacy, or are you okay with being tracked if it means you don't have to shell out any cash? Let us know in the comments below. I'm really fascinated to hear what you've got to say about this issue. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and maybe think twice before clicking I accept on that next cookie pop-up.